Each quarter tells a story. From Wall Street heavyweights to emerging disruptors, we break down the numbers, the reactions, and the moves that matter most. Real data, real insights, in real time. This is Earnings Central Live with Verified Investing.
What's up, everybody? Happy New Year. My name is Lawton and I am your host. Welcome to Earnings Central Live. So happy to be here. Hope you guys had a great Christmas, holiday season, New Year with your family. But new quarter means new earnings, and this is going to be the first Earnings Central Live of the year. So hopefully it'll be an eventful one. So if you guys remember from the end of last year, we went on a little bit of a hot streak. I think we had like four winning shows in a row, right? Haven't taken a loss yet, knock on wood. And my New Year's resolution is to continue that streak. But the way this is going to work for all of you, for those of you at home, sorry about that. For those of you at home, is I'm going to be giving you my levels on the earnings that are coming up. We're going to talk a little bit about what's expected, and we're going to react to them in real time after I give you my exact levels of support and resistance so you can trade along at home. And Happy New Year to you, Rada, in chat. But first off, we're going to talk a little bit about PSMT, Price Smart. If we could throw up those expected numbers on the screen, please. So Price Smart PSMT reports earnings at 4 o'clock. It's going to be the first of our 3 stocks that we're going to be trading today. And we're expecting an estimated $1.33 earnings per share and revenue about $1.36 billion, up 10% and 8% respectively year over year. If we could switch to my charts, please. So for me, guys, on Price Smart, I'm going to switch to my charts. These are my levels of support and resistance. You can see that Price Smart is kind of trading at it is literally trading at all-time highs. So for me, I'm looking for levels of support and resistance. So let's talk about support first, right? And for support, my first level of support is this nice gap fill down here around $117 and $50. That's my first little bit more aggressive level. Secondary level of support is around that 113.30 level, followed by that 111.63 level. If we could get those level sliders down below, please. For resistance, my first level of resistance on PSMT is at $135. That's approximately about 6% higher. That's my aggressive level, followed by the 140 level, basically, and then the 142.25 level. If we could come back to me, these are my levels of support and resistance on PSMT and Price Smart. That releases in about a minute and a half. Afterwards, we're going to have STZ and APLD. So for STZ, we could just throw up STZ really quick. I'm going to go through them really quickly before PSMT reports earnings. So STZ, we're expecting about $2.65 earnings per share and about a $2.17 billion. Expecting bad earnings here, down 18% and 12% year over year. If we could throw up APLD. So APLD is a different story. We're expecting, and this is kind of a range, about a negative earnings per share, but really positive revenue, if we could come back to me. And on STZ and APLD, both of these stocks are a little bit more movers. So what we're going to do here, guys, is because we have less than 50 seconds, we're going to react to this in real time here. You guys have my levels. I've already given to you on PSMT, and we're going to react in real time to that and see if we can't potentially get a winning trade off of these support and resistance levels. APLD in particular is extremely volatile, but I'm going to wait for these earnings to go through, and then I'm going to be showing my earnings. My earnings levels for STZ and APLD. But I'm glad that you're all joining me here. Hopefully you guys are having as much fun as I am, and we have about 8 seconds until these earnings come out. So let's see what happens if these levels are hit. Remember to set your trades to extended trading hours. So that you're able to trade alongside me. So it looks like so far at least PSMT earnings haven't come out. They're supposed to be coming out right now, but so far not a lot of movement. The way that this works, and if we turn on the volume, a little bit more volume coming in, around 33,000 shares being traded. The way this normally works is once the earnings come out, you'll see a really quick moves by the algo, right? By the algorithm. So we'll give it another minute or so, and then I'll give you my levels for STZ and APLD, which do come out around 4:05. The thing about these earnings is sometimes they could come out a little bit later, right? We've seen that happen particularly on Tesla. I believe we're trading, and they didn't really come out, and the stock didn't really move until 10-15 minutes later. This is just a general time of when they are expected to release their earnings. So far, a minute into the after hours and no movement yet on PSMT. I'm going to switch back and forth between these to make sure that, just check if the earnings came out or not. But we're going to give you my next levels for STZ on APLD, just so you guys have that. You can write that down. For STZ, I'm looking at support and resistance. I only have one level of support here. My level of support is around 134. If we could go to my charts, it's at 134, $134. Should price come down, and it would be a move down about 5%. That's my first level of support. As far as resistance is concerned, I'm looking at that even number of $150. And then again, at this pivot high over here, around 150, 150. Those are my two levels of resistance. As PSMT, not much is going on there. And then for APLD, now this is a stock that can really move. My level of support, first level of support is 19.5% lower, around $24. My first level of resistance is about 25% higher. So this thing, if we look at its previous earnings, that we see that this thing can move easily over 25%. Resistance level 37.20, 38.27, and 40.29. Support here is 24.05, $22, and basically $21 on APLD. So we can see that in the post market, it is moving a little bit, but not enough to where earnings would have come out. Checking on PSMT, not much action there. And back to STZ. Also, not much movement there. So we'll keep an eye on these stocks to see if there's any movement. Let me turn off my VWAP over there and see if we can't get a trade. We can come back to me. Thank you. So we have about 2 minutes left until these earnings come out, guys. Until these next two earnings. Unfortunately, PSMT looks like it's kind of a dud, but it's okay. They might come out with earnings in about a minute or so, and then maybe everything will move crazy together. I'm expecting fireworks from APLD, and you can see that the volume is already upticking a little bit here. Basically flat, moved up 3%, pulled back a little bit. That's not the move on APLD. This thing can really move over 20%. And that's what I'm expecting, as you can tell by my levels of support and resistance being around 20+% away. STZ, I'm expecting a move again between 5 to 6% here on STZ. So we have just over a minute, about a minute and 10 seconds before these earnings are released. So really disappointing that PriceSmart not really moving here. I think the earnings are going to come out, but they might come out a bit later. APLD is bouncing around a little. You're saying, yep, I see that too. Yeah, it is moving out around a little, but again, this thing can move significantly. I'm expecting a movement around 20%. And I just want to highlight, guys, in February, the first week of February, I know it's January, but the first week of February is a week you don't want to miss. I'm going to be trading Meta, Amazon, Qualcomm, AMD, Palantir earnings the entire week. So it's going to be absolutely bonkers. I love earnings season, a lot of opportunities to make some trades. And just a reminder for you guys at home, if you want to trade alongside with me, make sure that you're trading in extended trading hours. And also understand that I'm going a little lighter, right? That you would go light because these earnings can be so and extremely volatile. So we have about 5 seconds left, guys. Let's see if we can't make some money here on APLD. Let's take a look. Just waiting for those earnings to come out, expecting a lot of movement. Okay, initially STZ popping up a bit, not enough to trade yet, but did initially pop about 4%, continuing higher. Remember that first level of resistance is around $150. I see that on STZ, not much on PSMT. As far as APLD, not much movement yet. Makes me think earnings hasn't come out yet. So remember, guys, around $150 would be that first level of resistance on STZ. Just keeping an eye on APLD as well, waiting for that thing to finally move. Let's check the volume. So no volume influx yet on APLD, but we're expecting a significant movement here. So it just makes me think that earnings isn't out yet. We'll give it an extra 5 minutes to see if we can't get a trade. But yeah, we would need STZ to continue to move up to at least $150 before we enter a trade. And on APLD, not much yet. I really expect this thing to move around 15 to 20%. So the fact that it's moved, what, 2%, 3% makes me believe that earnings isn't out yet. And just know, guys, that the very first move off of earnings isn't always the correct move. We've seen how many times, right? Stocks initially pop up 1, 2, 5%, but then flush next morning, you wake up and it's extremely negative, right? There's also, the earnings call that will come later. But for now, we're just waiting for these APLD earnings to come out. The stock just isn't moving. Yeah, just not moving right now. Still waiting for that. And this is what I'm talking about on something like STZ. Initially popping up, right? And STZ is almost flat to negative on the day, guys. Gonna wait another 3 minutes or so, give APLD a little more time for these earnings to come out. It's really surprising that it just hasn't moved, because we've looked at the historical data and this stock tends to move between 15 to 20% off of earnings every single time. But just kind of disappointing that it's not moving too much. STZ as well. Let's check the volume. So you saw a little bit of volume uptick, 27,000 shares being traded, pushing up off of those earnings news, but then kind of floundering. And STZ, which was once positive, looks to be flat, almost negative on the day. As far as APLD is concerned, still nothing. PSMT, same thing. No movement off of earnings. Absolutely insane. But STZ looks like it's perking up a little bit more. Remember that first level of resistance is about $150 higher. Not higher, but at the $150 level. Let's take a look back at APLD. Still no movement. I wonder what's going on. Remember, guys, if STZ continues higher, another $5, I would look to potentially short it. I do see that. Yep. STZ is popping, but not enough yet. Remember, guys, that $150 level is that first real level of resistance that I would target. This is a stock that was, as you guys see, was, I believe, trading near its highs, right? Closer towards its highs, but it looks like it might be stalling out right here, and this is a key level that it needs to break. This was a previous pivot high, and you see it tag that level and initially tag that level, then pull back. Let's see if we can get continued movement up in STZ. Gonna give it about another minute or so. If it doesn't do it, it doesn't do it. But that $150 level will be that resistance. But it looks like this 145.54 was pretty decent resistance. Did have some good pullback there initially, about a 3% pullback from that level. Back to APLD, not much going on the stock, unfortunately. I still think this is going to move, guys. So what I would do is I would keep an eye on APLD, even if I am not live anymore, because I do think this thing is going to move significantly. I mean, a move about 1.5% on APLD. No, earnings isn't come out yet. And if you look at the chart, you could see that the volume hasn't really come out yet, right? Hasn't really come out. When these earnings come out, you see a huge influx of volume and significant moves. That didn't happen on PSMT. That hasn't occurred on APLD. That makes me think that these earnings have not come out yet. Are those levels still valid? I still like these levels on APLD. I'm still going to be watching it, even if I close off my show. But unfortunately, STZ looks like it's stalling around here. I see that on STZ. But yeah, Ox saying a lot of APLD's growth is baked in. Even if they match expectations and may drop, they would have to destroy earnings to get higher. Exactly, and I agree, right? APLD, if you look at the chart, it's near its highs, but going to these earnings, you have kind of a downsloping trend line, where you have this nice downsloping trend line. So I definitely think that it could go either way, and that's why I'm personally have levels. That's why I'm not going short into earnings. I'm having levels of resistance and support, so I'm prepared for the stock either way it goes. Unfortunately, guys, I'm going to have to end my show here just because Drew's coming on in just a couple of minutes. Unfortunately, we aren't able to get a trade, but make sure you write down these levels on APLD, guys, because I expect big moves on the stock, right? Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining me again. My name is Lawton Ho here with Verified Investing. This is Earnings Central Live, or Earnings Central Live. And make sure to stay tuned for more earnings trading. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you later. Bye, guys.